ready to present at the getting ready to start the peak performance. Hey everybody, welcome to the Savvy Sales Lady Live. I am your host, Christine Harrington. So, you've been ghosted. Now what? Oh my gosh, we've all experienced it. And if you're on my email list for my focus drop email, you would have gotten yesterday more information on how to handle ghosting. So if you are not on my email list, I'm going to have you go right to www.christineharrington.com. Is that backslash or forward slash? I never know what it is. Subscribe. And then you can subscribe to my newsletter. If it's not your cup of tea, you can easily just unsubscribe. It's no big deal. But yesterday, I went into some more details about what to do if you are being ghosted and how to prevent from being ghosted. So today, this wasn't in the newsletter. Today, I'm going to give you some talking points and actual words that I use and some examples of things that I've done so that I can prevent ghosting from prospects and from clients and from your teenagers. How about that? So let's get right into it. All righty. One thing you want to do in the very beginning of your sales conversation, matter of fact, whether it's a warm call, a cold call, or a hot call, you'll always want to set clear expectations, okay? So before ending that call or the initial meeting, make sure the prospect is informed of the steps to move forward. You got to remember that prospects don't know your process. So you have to tell them what the next steps are in the sales process. So you want to make sure that you establish a timeline and expectations for follow-up actions. But you also want to make sure that the prospect or the client agrees to these action steps and agrees to the timeline. It's very important that you get their buy-in on every step of the sales process. And that way it makes sure that you and the prospects are on the same page, right? So here's some early detections of maybe the client or the prospect may ghost you. So if the prospect has already established a slow pattern of replies or failing to reply to emails or calls, these are some warning signs that there could be potential ghosting early on. So you have to repeat yourself quite a bit during that initial call, or have to send multiple emails. So what you'll want to do is to just double check how the behavior of this prospect is over the portion of the sales process. And I have a comment. Oh, it's from Kirsten. Hi, Kirsten. Thank you for saying good afternoon. So if you have any questions, be sure and put them in the comments and I'll see them. So here's another tip. How are you ending your emails? Typically, people will end their emails by saying, "Let me know if you have any questions." And then they sit, I can't sing, do, 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 waiting and waiting and waiting for that prospect to reply. You always take that job away from the prospect and you take the responsibility always for following up. Instead of saying, let me know if you have any questions, end your emails this way. I'll give you a call on Monday and answer any questions that may surface. Or I'll give you a call in a few days and make sure that I can answer any questions that may surface. So that's how you should always end your emails. Now, you'll not end a conversation that way. You always want to make sure when you're on the phone or Zoom with the prospect that you've nailed down the next follow-up meeting. But try that in your emails to help eliminate ghosting. You let them know when you're going to follow up. All right, so the next tip is to strategize and re-engage. If you notice that the prospect has seemed to ghost you, consider how you might be able to get that conversation back on track. If they've been slow to respond, engage them more frequently using reminders, or bring new or resourceful material to make follow-ups and scheduled full meetings more appealing. Don't forget to always get the prospect to commit to the next step. I'll be redundant in this. Oh my gosh, there's Wes. Wes says, good Tuesday afternoon. No ghosting here. I'm a ghostbuster. You are, Wes. You really are. And you're always so very responsive. Okay, guys, if you need a good digital marketing expert, a marketing expert for your business, for your sales, Wes is the man to go to. He is very, very good. Thanks, Wes, for popping on. All right, so don't forget to always commit to the next step. Get them to commit to the next step. So the other thing you want to make sure that you do is that your message stands out. And, this is something I have said over and over and over again. Wes says, thanks for the kudos. Have a dynamite show and day. You too, Wes, you too. You want to make sure that your message stands out. Every time an hour ticks by in the day, you become less and less of a priority to the prospects. So that's why you want to use multiple touch points to stay connected, and you want your message to stand out. If you don't think your prospect has ghosted you, they may just have seen your email in a sea of endless communication. I can't say this enough. How many times I've heard reps say when I've been coaching them, well, I emailed them, they never responded. You are one of hundreds of emails in their inbox. Don't assume that you're being ghosted. Assume nothing. Make your messages resonate with the buyer. Personalize each message and make sure they are unique and hyper-focused on your prospect's interests and needs. When I cold call and I get a voicemail and I leave a message, I turn around and send the very same message in an email, the very same message. And I always start the email message with hi and then their name. So on the subject line, I don't say anything but hi, Lynn. And then I put what I wanted to talk to them about in the message. So make sure, usually people always click on a subject line that says their name. Hi, hi, Wes. Hi, Kirsten. Hi, Christine. I click on those. Okay, so just don't assume that because they haven't answered that they're ghosting you. You're just one of many that's reached out to them that day. So use different communication channels too. I always ask the prospect in the initial sales conversation, what's the best way to communicate with them? Do they prefer email? Do they prefer text messages or phone calls? What is it? Do you know all your prospects, what they prefer, what their preferences for the way to communicate with them? That's an important question to ask your prospect in the very beginning. So I never text a prospect unless they give me permission to text them. So I always ask that in the beginning. Is it okay if I text you information? Or is it okay if I text you reminders? Things like that. So the last thing you want to keep in mind is persistence within reason. Don't be a one and done. Sometimes it has taken me maybe, I want to say, I'm trying to think of one recently that it took about, if I remember right, 15 to 16 touch points through the sales communication period, the sales process period before the deal closed. Okay. We didn't move forward, but it took that long. Now, you have to be persistent within reason. I never give up after one or two tries. They either tell me no, that they've moved on in another direction, or they've given me the green light to go ahead. At the end of all the discussions, the real deal is that some leads will not be interested and they will remain missing in action. But you have to be cautious about not coming off too passive or too aggressive. So keeping a steady and patient approach is the key. But if after, multiple attempts, you're now ready to walk away, I want to suggest that you do this very important final email. Most sales reps just give up and go on. They never give a final email, and that is a huge mistake. You always want to send a final message. Tell the prospect that you don't want to be a pest, so this will be your final touch point. And then you're going to end by saying, however, if you've been meaning to contact you and you've just been too swamped and busy, here are a list of ways that you can reach me. I'd be happy to take your call. Now, I recommended this to a good friend of mine who called me last week about someone that she felt that was ghosting her. She's in the fundraising industry, and she reached out. This person had been engaged with her with conversations about moving forward to possibly do fundraising for her organization. And then all of a sudden, the communication stopped. So my friend asked me, what do you think I should do to get this back on track? And I said, how many times have you contacted her? And she told me, it was quite a bit over the last 2 weeks, about every other day. And the reason why is because this prospect had said that this was a priority for her. So my friend was kind of confused about why there was all of a sudden no response. So I suggested that, given all of the touch points and the phone calls and the text messages and emails, I said, are you ready to walk away from this? And she said yes. So she sent the final text message, because that's the way that the prospect preferred to be contacted, and said that she didn't want to be a pest, that obviously this is not a priority any longer, and she understood that that was the case. And she said, however, if you have just been, and she said, I will not be contacting you anymore. However, if you have been meaning to contact me and you've been too busy, I'd be happy to take your phone call. Well, she sent that in the morning, and by the end of the day, she did get a text message from the prospect. So, and they had a phone conversation. So it did work with my friend. It's worked multiple times for me. Does it work every time? No. But when somebody is not responding and they're ghosting you, this is a good way in order to either see if this is still a priority or they've just been too busy, or whether it's just time to call it a day and walk away. I had one incident where someone had called me right, I mean, it was minutes after I sent that email. And he called me and said, hey, I'm just getting on a plane. Could you call me Sunday at 7 a.m. and I'll be able to take your call? You betcha. And I called on Sunday at 7 a.m. and he took my call. And I can give you example after example of the very same thing. Another tip that you can use is if you feel you're being ghosted or you know you're being ghosted, you can just send a simple one-line text that says, it seems this is no longer a priority for your business. Is that right? Question mark. And leave it at that. That also gets responses. So I want you to get creative with this. Don't assume anything. Don't assume that they're just too busy, and make it a priority to have several touch points throughout the week. That is not too much in order to stay a priority to your customer, your client, or your prospect. So by following these tips, you'll be able to increase the chances of turning these ghosting prospects into solid leads or sales. All right. Don't give up and just try different methods. Why not? Just shake it up and try different things. All righty. That's what I have for you today. Let me tell you what's coming up. We have some really dynamite guests coming up, to use Wes's word, dynamite, in May and in June. And I want to encourage you to sign up to my email again. Let me get it back up there. This is how you sign up for my newsletter on my website. And I'm also doing a weekly newsletter on LinkedIn. So I want to encourage you to find me on LinkedIn and subscribe to the newsletter on LinkedIn. All it does is it alerts you when my newsletter is ready. And I'm doing a weekly newsletter there. So 2 newsletters, mine Focus Drop newsletter to my subscribers, which is different content than you'll get on my Savvy Sales Lady Live and on the LinkedIn newsletter. You will not get the same material, the exclusive content that you will get on my Focus Drop newsletter. So that's important to know. My YouTube channel, be sure and hit that subscribe button so you'll be notified when the next Savvy Sales Lady Live is live, or you'll be notified of the replay. You can just go to my YouTube channel and look for the tab live, and that's where all the live videos will be listed. So, as you know, I end by saying sales is a journey, not a quick trip around the block, and make it a great savvy selling day. Bye-bye.